floating on a neon tide. City lights begin to blur. Nowhere left for us to hide. Just the silent, steady purr. In the digital glow we fade away, losing track of night and day, caught inside this gentle maze. Of a distant sound, trace the lines upon your face. In the silence we have found a quiet and electric space. In the digital glow we fade away, losing track of night and day, caught inside this gentle maze. Let go.
This is not a toothpaste, it's a revolution for your teeth. Remineralize, strengthen teeth, all natural ingredients, essential oils, minerals, salts, Alpha Vedic Dental Solutions System. That's alphavedic.com/civilization. You know, we're always trying to bring you the best products here that we think will enhance your life, especially if supply chains break down further, or if there's some disruption in our lives here. It seems in the news more and more possible, but hey, who knows? Maybe it's a mind game. But what is not is keeping your dental health up. And not a lot of people are talking about this. We always see the storable foods. But what about dental care during these same emergency situations? Will your toothpaste eventually run out? Well, if it does, then what? So like I say, this whole micro gut biome is driven by your oral cavity first. So take a look at what they have, alphavedic.com/civilization. Every purchase you make helps keep our live radio show and podcast on air, bringing you more information just like this. Alphabetic.com/civilization. That link is in the show notes below. And as always, I appreciate your valuable time and joining us in this ever and most important conversation as we move forward in our world. Hey everyone, are you ready to grow your own fresh, delicious vegetables, herbs, and flowers this season? If you're looking for the highest quality heirloom and organic seeds, I've got the perfect company for you, True Leaf Market. They've been a trusted seed company since 1974, offering 3,000 types of non-GMO varieties, everything from classic heirloom tomatoes and peppers to rare herbs, microgreens, sprouting seeds, and beautiful flowers. All their seeds are open pollinated, pure, and perfect for home gardeners or anyone wanting healthy, flavorful produce without chemicals. What I love the most is their huge selection, fast shipping guarantees, plus options for bulk if you're going big. If you're excited to start your garden this year with real, authentic heirloom and organic seeds, click the link in the description box below to check out TrueLeafMarket.com. You won't regret it. Happy planting, and thank you for supporting the channel and this broadcast.
Please remember to sign up for our show notes. With Civilization Cycle podcast, you can learn what to expect as society resets. Agriculture, economy, tech, and history all have mappable cycles, and these cycles affect every aspect of our lives. We can navigate the chaos and thrive together with up-to-date news and information. Also, if you like the content we have here on Civilization Cycle, think about fueling the discussions and the show by buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Civilization Cycle. And thank you for all the support.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful blue planet in this twisted hologram we are calling life right at the moment. Tonight's broadcast, just getting you mentally and monetarily prepared for the fertilizer disruptions that are going to drive food costs up. It is now official. And before, many people were hoping that it wouldn't be. But as we were coming on air right now, I was trying to do a little more research because there seems to be 1 million tons of fertilizer actively on ships waiting to get out of the Strait of Hormuz. Behind that, there's 5 million tons that are in loading warehouse facilities, and we're looking at 6 million tons stranded. That should be going on to the fields right now. So the estimations were about 50% crop reductions if we were going to do it even semi-similar to the old way, but that involves having cattle that you can use the dung from. So like putting out any time a nutrient into the field. If you just plant with nothing and you're just using last year's dirt, basically, again, and get about 27% yield out of the fields, maybe. They're not going to be very robust. Everything's going to be just average to poor quality. You're not going to get, giant heads on the seeds and thing where you get that extra very good, those types of quality where, you're getting a higher price. It's going to be just borderline animal food. So I wanted to run through a few of those stories with you tonight. Now, as we go through tonight, it's not about any fear or doom and gloom. It's really not. It's about these cycles have happened in history in the past. It's very defined where this corridor is taking us right now. It's not a guess any longer. We know exactly where it's going. So if you know where it's going, it's like driving a car on the road. Okay, there's going to be a turn to the left. It says slow down, go 40 miles an hour. We were going 65. We don't want to hit the guardrail. Slow down. You know exactly where this beast is going to turn to. Number one thing is going to be about the food. So as this unfolds, we're already starting to see across Asia a huge amount of countries calling for rationing, diesel rationing. I was reading a report today that, Thailand, a lot of people go, it's cheap, great lifestyle, whatever make you want have of there. 9,000 fishing boats, which is half. They have about 18,000 registered fishing boats in their fleets that go out every day and come back, or maybe they go out for a few days and come back. There's 19,000 registered fishing fleet boats there. 18,000, excuse me. 9,000 of them are not going to go out there. They already don't have enough diesel fuel. Dude, it's been like a week and a half, not even two barely. And half the fishing fleet of Thailand is not going out. So you start to just kind of work this through, and we're going to work the Rubik's Cube tonight, at least the best in my ability to work it through with you, because I'm trying to contemplate this in itself. You can look at all the barrage and the damage. Okay, that's the distraction. They want you to focus on that. What they're not really focusing on is the amount of censorship coming in. You can't even talk about, like, in Dubai, if you film a missile coming in and hit anything, 2 years in prison and a 50,000 euro or 50,000 euro or British pound fine, depending, because there's so many Brits there. You're breaking their Secrecies Act. Like everywhere in the Middle East that foreigners were welcome. It's so open here. You're being imprisoned and fined for just showing what's happening outside your balcony. They can't control the narrative anymore. Okay, so that's a microcosm of the Middle East, but you see that's going to roll huge, as they would say, huge. It's going to be huge. This whole censorship thing is going to start going everywhere because the gasoline lines in China were like a mile long, 4 cars deep getting into the Sinopac stations. Or the CNOOC stations, whatever. And they were trying to block that footage from coming out because, of course, China has everything under control. So the next step is going to be the censorship of you showing the turmoil because of this de facto blockade. A blockade is a blockade. A siege is a siege. I don't care if you're back 1,000 years prior, you're back 2,000 years prior. You rope off an area and you don't let food, water, energy come in, and eventually they wither, and then you can invade. Okay, well, this is happening right now. We don't call them castles anymore. We call them country. We call them borders. The same, but different. So the only oil getting out right now is the Chinese oil. The fertilizer is the big thing. Forget the oil and forget the fighting and all that stuff you're seeing and all the pictures they want you to focus on. They're not focusing on a 60,000 ton breakbark freighter coming out, flagged out of like the Maldives. That's not sailing full of fertilizer. That's not a big news headline, Something going up in flames is. So anyway, Ransom and I are going to talk about it tonight. Remember, as we go through this, it's not about the fear. It's about structuring yourself to understand what's coming next. And once you see those moves, stay outside the pretty pictures of, explosions and things. Stay outside that. Don't look there. Look to see what is really happening because of this. The copper's getting affected. The aluminum's getting affected. We got the fertilizers affected. Every single farm chemical you can use, from pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, it ain't coming. And if it is greatly reduced and the price is going to skyrocket. Can I tell you one last thing, Ransom? I kind of should have said, we'll bring you in early. fertilizer prices in America in some certain areas have risen 77% already. 77%. Not quite doubling, but getting there. So anyway, and I thought the U.S. would be the least affected with the fertilizer prices because normally, with the Farm Services Administration, they let farmers go out like 6 months before the planting and then buy what they need to get it ready for right now. So to watch these prices just skyrocket like this, I mean, it's just insane in America. I'm wondering what's happening like places like Thailand and Malaysia and these places. It's going to be insane what they're going to experience. Welcome, Ransom.
How's it going? Yeah, that's why we had. Is my mic on?
Yeah, volume's a little low there.
How about now? There we go.
Oh, that sounds good.
No, I was going to say that's exactly why Trump signed that executive order the other day. I mean, at the beginning of February.
Which one was that, my friend? I don't know. He signed so many so quick. I get blinded in the pen signatures. I got ink in my eyes from the blinding of so many signatures so fast.
Right. Well, I showed it last week. It was the Defense Production Act to the U.S. fertilizer supplies, focusing on phosphorus and glyphosate.
We love glyphosate. I have a glass of glyphosate right here. I'm just going to drink it down and just talk to you the whole night while I'm drinking glyphosate. What do you think?
I think I'll skip it.
It's on ice.
I'll skip it. But, I thought we could compare this, not to be doomy and gloomy.
No, we're not. It's strictly educational.
Right. So in World War II, they had similar situations going on with supplies, and they just did different stuff. I thought we might start there and then work our way to today. Let's see here.
Go right ahead. That sounds like a great starting point. Something in history we can relate to and go from.
Yeah. Well, number one thing is, of course, we have talked about it for the last couple of years ad nauseum is Liberty Gardens.
Yeah.
And rationing stuff yourself, or as we call it, saving and prepping. It's not really rationing, but when you look up at your closet and you see a bunch of cans of food and a bunch of different stuff that you put back, that is rationing. You're rationing for the future. And they were even rationing different materials in World War II. So believe it or not, for a good portion of time, people had to pick specific kinds of clothes to make sure that they had enough clothes to last, because they knew they weren't going to be able to go out and get fabric supplies and different stuff depending on what it was made out of. And petroleum, which includes plastic of all kinds in all industries, especially food, clothing, and electronics, is necessarily going to go up because they can. Not because there's a real shortage, but because they know that the headlines are going to make people panic buy things for the next several months. And
tires too, I might add, tires were rationed to one set per family, per car every 2 years in the war.
Right. Might even be a good idea to go get a fresh set of tires right now while the prices are still the same, because that might go up. I'm not saying it is, but traditionally that does go up because that's a major petroleum product. But as you can see from one end to the other on the headlines from around the world, hoarding rations are already beginning. And we talked about this for several years. I mean, it could even get to the point where people start rationing out cups of rice from the government again, like we've seen in the past. But right here, LPG, liquid propane gas, hoarding, firewood use. In Asia, they deal with the fuel shortage because of Iran, and then global food rationing. And keep in mind, this article that was talking about the global food ration cuts that were already leaving people displaced and vulnerable was last year. This is an old article. So it was already happening. So imagine what these kind of organizations are going to be dealing with when there's actual shortages. And then, the same headlines, petrol prices across Asia, rationing and price caps. Here's Nepal.
Wait a second. Stop for a second. Now, in Vietnam, they're asking people to work from home.
Yeah.
Like that was an instant turnover.
Remember the COVID?
So I am wondering if it had something to do with COVID. Like that was a test before. to
Right.
get people to used to certain systems because maybe they had planned this war to turn over the financial system and bring us into a new financial system. But it's how quickly they went one day announcement, you're working from home, boom, everybody started working literally the same day. They've already been trained.
Right. They already trained everybody, even here in the United States. Virtual, virtual work, virtual school. So it's not really unlikely that in the next several months during the summer, you're going to see COVID style implementation of different programs because they already practiced it. They already got the infrastructure worked out for that. And that's exactly what we told you at the time, that this was all for future things. It was a beta program to see how far, how much they could push the public, how much they could make them believe about what was going on, how much behavioral change could they affect with mandates and fear.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question about food. So we were having a garage sale tomorrow, and I went through and I was going through the closets and some storage space. And I'm going to do an unboxing for you all. And this is a yes or no, a
Crayola.
yes or no. So I got a cooked ham right here, and it is good to the 10th month of this year in like October of 2026. I think it's still good. It's in a cool, dark place at the bottom of a closet that, everything's cool and dark. I got boneless mackerel here that expired in 2023. Good or not good?
Good.
You think good? Okay.
Definitely.
I got smoked herring here also from December of 2023.
Still good.
Still good, yeah. I got the kipper snacks here. Are you noticing also one thing, that these are all proteins that are stored aside?
Those are cans inside the
they are.
bag, right? Okay, yeah, they're good.
Yeah, they're canned. They're in a. I'll even open one up because it doesn't really matter. We're just thinking about what to do with this anyway. Thinking about, should I eat it? Should I
Fish sandwich.
give it? So this, it just comes in an unmarked tin like this. But I mean,
even if you weren't going to eat it, you could use it for pet food.
yeah.
I mean,
because the oil's inside here too. This comes with lightly smoked. Didn't say what kind of oil. Oh well. What do we have here? Oh, we got pork pate spread. 2024, December of 2024. This is pork pate spread.
Definitely good.
Definitely good. Let me show you what we got here. Let me see.
I wouldn't eat it just because it's the I try not to eat pork, and it's not for religious reasons. It's for scientific reasons. But other than that, the meat in the can is good. And it's so salted, it'll be good for a long time.
Now, this is tuna and water, purposely chosen. See, I was weighing the scales here. We got some in olive oil, but olive oil doesn't last as long as water. So this is star-kissed, some tuna here, and it is April of 2023. Yes or no?
I would eat it if I was hungry. But
If
like
you're
I said,
hungry,
if
right.
you're worried,
So,
give it to the cat.
Yeah, if you're coming to my house begging for food, my friends, you're getting this.
Right.
Sardines. These are salty as crazy, man. They used to store sardines for like decades at a time, right? So I look at this going, go back in time like honey, you forever, right? So 2020. So this is what I'm saying. We found this old pack of food that we'd stuck back there. And then these are all good. This corned beef, 2026 here. Oh, yeah. Good. And it even has that thing on the side where you turn it.
Somebody said, did everybody see my face when you pulled out the pork? And that is because of mRNA. Went right to my thought process.
Yeah, right.
It had nothing to do with the like if that wasn't part of it, yes, I will eat up some Spam and all of that kind of things.
But this ham you're saying no to because
that's only for that reason.
But
if I'm hungry, I'm going to eat it.
True. Okay. So what else do we have here? Oh, we got roasted eel.
I eat that. I don't care. I've never even had it, and I'll eat it.
But the rest of the stuff here is all like tunas and things. Now you got to realize that's all just in this little tiny box here.
Right. And as long as they're not bulged or messed up in any way, they're probably going to be good for.
Also, this is November of 2023. Would you eat it or not eat it?
Oh yeah, I would eat it. No problem.
See a lot of, and here's our last one here. What do I got here? Oh, this is another thing from sardines from Portugal. It's in tomato sauce though.
Mm,
2024, you got to use that old school like
I'll eat it. If it's not broken, I'm eating it.
and I might say one thing also on food storage. Like you're looking at these two different cans, what do you notice the difference of them are? This one's going to last way hella longer because you actually need that spinner opener versus this thing that could easily like crack on the side, or if you put too much weight on it, it's going to break that seal. This thing, man, is a battleship.
Right. And if you were gentle with all of the packaging every time you move it, you don't have any problems. But sometimes people slam stuff around when they move it, and you don't want to do that with canned goods, especially if it's your backup food, because believe it or not, you might get a little spot on the can that ruptures or something, and then you might be in trouble.
Yeah, but I think you'd smell that every time we've
Oh,
had
yeah.
something funky go down. We've been able to smell that there's been a break in the can, especially if it's fish based.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
But think about all that, and this is just one we found in the back of the closet that I didn't know was there. It was in this shoe box, so I thought it was something like shoes. So having it even, I wouldn't say cleverly disguised. It wasn't anything like that meant to be. It was just, and please leave your comments. I'm really curious what people think out there about this little stack of proteins. That's all sliding back in place really this easy, and I'll put it on top.
That's a little gold bar right there.
Yeah, and I think, well, let's put it back in. But see, all that fits in just a shoebox. Something like this, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, what's the tradable valuable for that in a protein? Because we're talking about food tonight, and it was so random that it was just laying there because I pulled it out earlier, and I have an old protein powder one too from like a pea protein powder, never been opened. A couple of years old. It was one of those, hey, if you need something, you got instant powder for protein on that.
Some of those were, I mean, I'm not going to say expensive, but like, $4 or $5 a can, depending on which one it is. The tuna's cheap and stuff, but I'd take a silver coin for that, maybe two.
Yeah.
In a situation, I might even give 2 coins for it.
Sure. Hey, thanks for coming to help us work. You want to eat tonight? We got not the best, but here you go, man. Take some home for the family. It depends on how expensive, how crazy, and how available or unavailable food is. See, that's one thing also that I learned is the rotation of the stock. So like we were storing this in a real world, this would have been eaten and it would have been replaced. Right. And then we would have found the best one out of that and then replaced it. Because a couple of those I hadn't eaten yet, like that one that was from Portugal, you have to use the real proper opener to get it. I haven't tasted that. So I don't know if it's really good. I had the eel before, thought it was tasty. But again, I would have rotated all these things out based on taste preference and also shelf life on them. Because there's a bunch of stuff that you can get for like that has 10-year shelf life on it. And that's a no-brainer to stock that over, like those beef that comes in a bigger can and that sort of stuff.
Weirdly, for some reason, I'm just not worried about food unless, civilization completely collapses. Because my whole life, I think I've only eaten, one good meal a day. Maybe if I was working hard, I might eat breakfast and lunch and stuff. But generally, I just eat that one meal a day. And I've always been able to have extra food. It's not that it's never was really expensive compared to other things. I know people, that have a big family and they feel like, because they were there last week and it was cheaper. But in the grand scheme of things, food is really not that hard to come by, but it might become hard to come by. And with a small garden last year, we wasted probably, I'm going to say, I don't know, 50, 60 pounds of food that I didn't do anything with. Bunch of squashes, chilies, tomatoes. It literally got old in our extra refrigerator. We didn't freeze it or nothing, but we ate it so much when it was free that, we were wanting to eat something else. But if you're hungry, you're not going to be that stuck up about food. You're going to be happy to have all of that. Especially all that, because it doesn't matter if you have electricity or not, and you can still sit on it with those canned goods. And that's one thing you're not going to do with, backup frozen meat or vegetables or any of that. If you prep and you stockpile, it has to be in a jar or in a can when the electricity goes out, period, or you need to eat it, and hope your vitamins last for a while.
Or pressure cook it as long as you have, if you're ready to pressure cook or pressure can something. But again, do you have your propane ready? Do you have your stove ready? Can you find your thing in the dark? Do you have a headlamp? As soon as you open that fridge, it's go time. You got to get A to Z ready in just like a prep fashion, like you would in a kitchen doing something for a banquet. But that food can still be salvaged even if the power goes out. You can salvage some. You can eat while you're cruising. You can stuff yourself for a minute, invite some people over. Because I remember I was living in Hawaii and on Kauai. I wasn't living on Kauai at the time, but they had a hurricane that had ripped through that place, and that was the thing. Like they lost all power in the whole island. What everybody did was just built giant fires and heated the rocks, and then put everything everybody had in the refrigerators and just cooked it all to like preserve it.
Right.
And they were able to stretch the food supply out like 7 to 10 days for the whole island just by everybody in all their fridge, because it was all going to go bad anyway. I'll throw it in and get it cooked so it could be preserved.
Well, I was betting money you probably have an amount of storable goods, like as far as that came from one of the companies there, and what they put a lot of packs of stuff like cheesy rice or potatoes or mac and cheese or whatever. Then them cans of tuna and all that stuff come in real handy to make something a little more elaborate when you're eating and more nutritious there.
Yeah, I saw the film of the video. The guys, they our soldiers over in the Middle East, and they were going through all their MREs, and the guy's like, I got penne pasta, and the other guy goes, I got the red sauce pasta, and I got the Mexican flavored red sauce pasta one. I'm like, wait a minute, you guys are getting nearly the same thing, just labeled differently,
Right.
I'll take the teriyaki beef. I mean, they had 5 or 6 choices, but they were all like kind of the same ingredients, just reblended in and given a different name. They was just sitting there going, you could see them almost going, what the hell are we sitting in here? Like when they were eating, they were like in this brick, they get concrete compound down in the basement eating. I was thinking that's where you guys are eating your rations, is down in the basement, cowering already. I thought we were supposed to be pounding the crap out of those guys.
When my grandmother died, we took like almost all of the stuff that she had stored in her cupboards and stuff. And there was cans of stuff from the 80s literally in there, corn and different stuff. And we didn't eat it, but I did open it up and smell it, and it seemed good. I mean, it seemed like we could have ate it if we had to, no problem. And we did eat some of the stuff that was only 5 or 6 years expired. I didn't get sick. And that's one thing growing up poor, we came across stuff like that all the time. We ate it. We didn't read the expiration date until after we ate it, and then worried about, oh no, are we going to get sick? But we never got sick.
I'll get ransom already. He's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, but I would be careful with that. It's a gamble. But it's not that big of a gamble whenever it's not too many years expired. It's sealed up in a really good can. Now, if we're talking 10 years and we're talking fish, I might be a little hesitant. But like I said, you can, not to kill your cat or anything, but you can let the cat be the canary in the coal mine for you there. If the cat's eating it and went right for it, it's probably going to be fine for you too.
Yeah, because a lot of people aren't thinking about pets during times like this. So the projection is the low, slow grind to hyperinflation on this one. I've been listening incessantly and been doing a lot of videos. All my videos are way longer, like 18, 20 minutes now, because there's just so much information coming out every day. But the main takeaway from it is our gasoline in America has gone up between 50 and maybe 60 cents in some places just in the last week and a half. So by next week, this is going to continue to grind higher, where you're going to add another 30 cents, 40 cents to it. And then the next week, it'll be another 20, 30 cents. Before long, we're at $5 or $6. The natural gas, the LNG, Qatar had their largest, they supplied 20% of Europe, which, by the way, those idiots had closed down most of their fertilizer processing plants because of the green agenda. So the 20% export natural gas that would have been processed and turned into fertilizers in Europe just even as little as 5 or 6 years ago to supply the world have totally been cut off. Michael Yon, a friend of mine, he sent me a map of all the fertilizer facilities and processing areas that have been turned off. There are about 26 or 27 plants that closed. That natural gas pipeline, 20% of all the natural gas in the entire planet goes through one pipeline from Qatar up to these areas that then locally manufacture fertilizer and further afield manufacture fertilizer. Like Turkey's a big one. That one got just completely destroyed. So 20% of the world's natural gas offline. And you go, well, I don't cook with natural gas. Well, that's not the main thing. The feedstock for all the fertilizer producers, which produce over half the world's fertilizer, feed off of that, in addition to other spider pipes that are coming in there. Because, there's a whole network coming in and around that went through Turkmenistan. So you might go, well, Turkmenistan, what are they all? Well, they're up in Tajikistan and Kazakhstan, which also have fertilizer production. Like, it's all stopping. You hit one and it just, the spider web of gas delivery out to countries way further afield that were also fertilizer producers are being affected by this reduction in natural gas availability. So when you're looking at it, the amount of fertilizer currently, if it trends toward, and if the Gulf doesn't open, currently 6 million tons. And I was trying to do, like I say, the research, and I'll let you take it over, Ransom. I was trying to figure out, what is the global total, and how many millions of tons are used per year, but then specifically how much is used in the United States per year, because we import a lot of that stuff from China anyway. So China has forbid any exports of finished petrochemical products coming out of the country, like zero to anybody. So thanks for playing. They're barely getting enough in for themselves. And they got these massive, monstrous, gargantuan long lines at the petrol stations already. So where does that leave us? Well, if China is a major exporter of fertilizers to the world and they are not exporting, and then the base areas of the world's largest amount of natural gas is there, that makes very good sense to set up one of the world's largest fertilizer production facilities right there, because you got the most gas in the world, natural gas, and you can produce the most fertilizer right next to the largest gas fields on the entire planet. Never-ending supply, never-ending fertilizer supply. Well, all that is offline right now, offline. And the one last point to that, Iran is playing this game of completely destroying an attrition. They're systematically destroying every single loading platform, oil terminal, storage facility, pipeline, and anything that has to do with bases and ports. So mark my words, there's only, since they took out Oman yesterday, which was like the last possible loading outside, it wasn't in the Strait of Hormuz, it was just outside on the Omani side. It was in the Gulf there, the Arabian Gulf. There's only one last way they can get oil out of here. That is the Trans-Saudi Arabian East-West pipeline. Carries 5 million barrels a day. They got 20 plus ships waiting on the other side in the Red Sea to load. I am unequivocally saying that Iran is going to take out that pipeline and cut off every single. If you see that this pipeline gets blown up, could be tomorrow, could be a week from now, could be 2 weeks, but Iran has its eyes on it, because if that pipeline is allowed to exit between 5 and 10 million barrels a day, the total cutoff is only going to be, there's still 65% of oil will be exported previously as it was through the Strait of Hormuz. That's not very effective on a blockade. But if they take out that pipeline, it's going to knock everything back down to under 35% of full capacity. So a net 70% stoppage of all energy coming out of there. This is going to be vast. It's going to be huge. They're going to be moving protective anti-aircraft things right in front of this pipeline, because it's going to be the most precious piece of real estate on the planet. If this pipeline gets bombed, and it's so long, I mean, you could hit it anywhere, our oil will go to $200 a barrel, and it's not going to pull back for some time. And at that point, this Gulf is going to stay closed. So any fertilizer production coming out after that event were to occur will just drastically go to zero. Then you need to walk it down, because planting right now in the Northern Hemisphere is planting now. But what happens in the mid-season? We have fertilizer applications routinely in the planting season. It's not like you just put it on in the spring and you're done. You have mid-season, and then you have just before it comes to maturation, you try to hit it with, again, the potassium, try to get that thing flower off and fruit off, super deep, thick, heavy, as big as you can get it. So these different applications with different, synthetic fertilizers, we're going to lose a percentage of the world's available supply of that. So crop yields will be down because of that. And it's all predicated on this one pipeline getting blown up or not. If they do it, I'm really very sure this is like meant to switch the system.
Right. Well, it's obvious why we just got rid of Maduro and Venezuela, and we're getting those contracts back online that were already existing prior to the communist takeover there. So that'll be one thing. But I really don't think we're going to be hurting too bad here in the U.S. People are talking about $5, gas where they're at. I've seen somebody said it already went up $1.60 where they live. From the time of Biden to right now, gas prices where I'm at have only risen 30 cents. So it was around. But we do live next to the Permian oil fields and all of that stuff. But it was about 270, and I think it's about 315 now. So maybe 45 cents. Um, and that's over the course of 2 years. I believe we are going to take the west coast of Iran. We're just going to take it. That's not going to be theirs anymore. They're going to be dealing with Kurds to the north, which, by the way, are already in their country, already backed up with U.S. arms. And it's so weird because I went through the headlines yesterday and today just for like a quick reference because I haven't really been paying attention to the war because I have a feeling it's not going to be like in Iraq. It's not going to last. This is just us grabbing some resources right now and reshuffling the deck because we were about to have some issues. But if you look over here, they're talking about oil shock worse than the 70s. But some other stuff has been going on that might make this last a lot longer and might make it go up, like you said, to $200 a barrel. It's because these other players are getting involved now. Not
Mhm.
only Russia, Turkey, China, everybody's getting involved. And then over here, they're going to be telling you that, think about this too. We might have a hot summer here. And the only reason I'm saying that is not based on science at all. It's based on the rise in the gas prices and them referring to the 70s everywhere I look. So if you remember the 70s, there were, heat waves, gas shortages, poverty. I have a feeling that that's what they're going to try to hand over for us. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to last that long because what came after the 70s was the 80s, and that wasn't too
Wait,
bad.
you're let me stop you for a second. See, you go back to that headline again. You're talking heat, but here
It's
tonight,
gonna
it's going to be in the 30s, and then over a couple more days from now, it's going to be 22 Fahrenheit. So you're telling me, okay, that's so specific in one little tiny location. Oh, it's going to be the hottest ever. Yeah, come over here, and you sit outside in a t-shirt and tell me if you survived that night of 22 Fahrenheit and then 25 Fahrenheit. And you just see we're still in March, right? So you go see if you can survive in my backfield there with just wearing a t-shirt and your record warm out here.
Right. Well, they always do that, and we know that they'll do specific things, because you need B-roll for the TV to back up what you're saying. So they'll be showing Phoenix, they'll be showing LA, they'll be showing places in New Mexico and Arizona because we basically didn't have much of a winter this year. But it's March. Mark my words, we'll have some blizzardy conditions by the time Easter rolls around. We do every single time, and they act like it doesn't. And we're seeing blizzards in other places, so we know we're going to get some more cold. But they're already pushing this idea to give a certain frame of mind. And that's the doom. That's the doom fear of mind that they're selling right now. And here's this with Middle East in flames, Texas bunker maker sees businesses boom. That happens
Oh,
every single time.
boomadelic.
It is kind of concerning that people in the administration, though, are building not just bunkers, but nuclear proof bunkers. And then here's this just in time for, I'm sure you were paying attention, and they're kind of floating the idea that somehow Iran will get drones over into the United States and attack the West Coast. And if that happened, it probably just so happened to hit some kind of refinery or port where the oil's being stored. If that was going to happen, I'm just saying if. But just in time, there's a manhunt for mass thieves who raided U.S. Army base to steal 4 drones amid the Iran revenge attacks. And you remember, we were just talking about this the last show, the mysterious East Coast drones that they said was Iranian technology. They've been prepping for this whole mindset for quite some time. And when I say they, I don't know exactly which people. I just know that as a information gatherer and a pattern recognition, I'm blaming the mythological they because it seems like steps keep getting forwarded in a specific way to get you to a specific mindset, so that you act the right way. And I think COVID was a lot to do with the training in that.
Yeah, and it's about trying to, make sure that you get your gardens on before anybody tells you to get the gardens on. And
Right.
if I might, buymeacoffee.com/civilization cycle. Got a couple comments here for you. Someone bought us 10 double espressos. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Really enjoy your chats. Well, thank you for supporting us, because you see how much research Ransom has and how many screens open. I'm going to jump into a few from Judge Report here and Hal Turner, and I got a few also energy stories as well. And Newbie Flip Flop, thanks for the double espresso. Keep the Thursday nights going, please. Can do. I was dragging my ass in from the field tonight, and I've been lifting a bunch of stuff and getting ready. Trying to get a garage sale on tomorrow. We got a bunch of things that just laying around. You know how it is. You collect stuff, and now we're having a farm sale tomorrow because I'm trying to get rid of the old, out with the old, in with the new.
Right.
So anyway, continue, Ransom. Just want to say thank you, everybody, supporting us on buymeacoffee.com/civilization cycle. And I am over here on the show stream. So if you do have comments, please put those there. Clear reports from news from Afghanistan. Somebody's planning a red flag moment. I'm not sure what that means. False or red?
I think they mean false flag. Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was hinting at with the circulation of certain ideas to get you to a certain point, and then when that thing happens, you're not really, you're already there mentally. Here's another one that I've been just seeing everywhere: credit crisis coming.
Yeah, that's hitting the news everywhere, isn't it?
Right. I just paid off every
Get ready
bit
for the
of my
reset,
credit.
man.
I don't know. None of them people, nothing. Completely paid off all the credit from years of, having issues and whatever. I just gave them their money. It put a dent in my savings, but they won't be hounding me or coming after me or changing the APR on me. And that's how you get drained and go broke, is if you have no real income coming to replace all of the things you're paying out, all the APRs, and you're not making anything on the total debt that you owe them. It's just percentage you'll owe until 2050 or 2075 or however long you live. So I was thinking that maybe it'd be a good idea for most people to, get their accounts together, so that no one really has a thumb on them at all, and just concentrate on food and utilities and things like that. And you're just going to skate through this manufactured emergency of world war here, world conflict, which they're now calling it.
Yeah, please, Ransom, I had said such a great thing there, this planned, and I am totally in agreement with that, a planned. I feel it's planned to switch the economy over to this new digital system with the stablecoin issuance. This private credit thing, you're telling me BlackRock, the world's largest company, can't pay back $1 billion to its investors? They're supposed to be worth what, like 12 trillion? And they're almost defaulting on trying to pay back 1 billion. I mean, the disconnect in that is phenomenal here. So I think it's pre-planned. And I love this Bigfoot story too. This is all over the news. Bigfoot, everywhere you look. Sasquatch. What is going on? Why are they pushing this Nori story? This isn't like one of the top headlines everywhere. Like this would be a newspaper tabloid type. What was that one, Ransom? That one where you National Enquirer, that was it.
They told you a lot of true things, believe it or not, in there.
I know they did. That was the place to get probably true news back in the day.
And then they put it on the X-Files to debunk the reality of the fact that intel agencies actually do use tabloids to pump out ideas. Yep. They like to tell on themselves, and they know that if they do it through the tabloids, it'll never be taken seriously. And then it's funny, they reboot the X-Files to just rub that in your face and tell you that, there's a guy somewhere that for every story that gets put out that's true, he puts out 10 stories that are untrue, so that everything is so convoluted that you'll never be able to tell what was going on. And it was funny that came out right before the real AI revelation that came to the public. You remember, like, it was only 2 years ago, we had that show that said you'll never be able to believe anything you see again. And now look at the AI. In 2 years, it has become almost it's hard to determine what's real and what's not. And so when you're watching these grainy footages of things that happen around the world, you can just take that with a grain of salt. There's no telling if it really happened or not, or it's propaganda. It's worse than it's ever been. And the only reason I brought this Sasquatch thing up is because I know you like Sasquatch, and the fact that it's kind of it's kind of a woo woo thing in one way, but it's quite entertaining. But what's happening in anthropology is leading to the fact that this might be a reality. And the end of some of these species might have already happened, and there may be very few of them left around, which would cause more sightings because of being panicked. And I'm just saying, I don't actually know that there's Bigfoot, but I'm just saying if there was another hominid out there, it's very possible that it was smart enough to realize that humans were dangerous, especially if it's been around long enough to see the other hominids disappear. And every civilization does have some kind of story like this. So it is bizarre that I've seen at least like 15 different Bigfoot articles out. It was like the credit thing. I just noticed these things. It's like they pump the ideas all at once. This
Yeah.
could be just a nice fluff article for distraction
Well,
about
what
the
image did they
other
have
stuff.
there for you? You
Oh,
turn
let
it
me
off
look
before
back.
you scroll down again. What's the
I'm
image
sorry.
looking
Here we
like?
go. It's
That's the image of the thing?
some guy in a suit.
That looks fake, man. I've seen. I'm just gonna say, I've you might not believe me or not, but I've seen them, and that ain't one of them. The arms are wrong. The girth of it's wrong. The way the forehead, the whole body structure is completely wrong on that. The way the knees are bent, they're wrong. The way they walk is wrong. That's so totally fake. That's a human in a suit. Plus, there's too much hair showing. There's too much white on the face showing, and yeah, that's sort of what they look like, girthy or like that, and like arms swinging way low. That's a man in a suit right there.
I know that guy.
Look
He
at, I
lives
mean, those
down the street.
arms. You ever seen those things walk, man? Their arms, their hands are way down below the knees when they're walking. Man, those things just like are weird looking. The way they walk, they're so. It's like they can pound. They can get on fours and then jump up. It's like whoosh. That is a man in a costume or AGI rendered one. That is not real at all. That face, the nose is too outward too. The
Right.
flatness of the nose, that is way too structured for like what we consider a white Caucasian nose sticking. No way, that's fake. That's
No,
definitely not a real. That's not a Sasquatch image there.
nah, that's the dude
Just
that lives
saying, man. I'm
down.
just saying for my own eyes. Maybe they're playing tricks in the forest on me or whatever, but that's not what I saw.
This guy lives down by the dollar store in a tent right off
He
of the
does.
parking
That's
lot.
the same
I
dude,
seen
man.
him yesterday. He asked me for a cigarette, and I told him I don't smoke cigarettes. I'm sorry.
I only smoke sunchokes, dude.
I'm just joking. I just wanted to throw a little levity in there before we might get a little more serious in the next hour. This is ironic and it makes sense. Emergency sirens in San Francisco won't sound alarm even during Iranian drone threat. So now we have missing drones. We have drones that were flying all over the United States last year, unchecked, unverified, just on the news. And then this story about these drones possibly coming over here. We know that they're sleeper cells. This is factual. Our government let them right in across the border just in time for this event. Just saying, I know that was a different president. However, look at the unfolding of events where you have, I'm going to say, at least 100,000 people from that area of the world that came over the border unchecked. And now we're having stories about sleeper cells. We know that even the president's saying, yeah, we know where a bunch of them are at. Well, then why haven't they deported them then?
Yeah, I mean, it's all to get you ready to put more say measures in place to limit your movement, limit your travel, limit your expenditures, limit the way, this whole agenda 2030, and look what they're going to be limiting. And look what's happening. I saw an article today talking about airplane tickets are already getting to the point where they're almost doubling already. So what would all these headlines be for except to prepare you for some sort of government, say mandates or laws or military intervention inside the U.S. that they're just getting your mind ready for it. Like they're getting your mind ready for a financial change. If BlackRock can't pay $1 billion, but the company's worth 14 or 12 trillion, and they can't make payments on 1.2 billion, then that's not real. That's like literally that's a rounding error on the valuation of their company that they can't even pay out before contagion in the private credit market. They're broadcasting that government's going to get heavy-handed. You're going to have a lot of stipulations to go through. I don't know if it would be Marshall or if it would be what other kind of, there's going to be some sort of stickiness further than COVID this time, and the money system's going to change. That's all I'm seeing across the headlines here. They're just preparing you for it.
Well, think about this. We've had exactly 25 years of images of things flying into skyscrapers seared in our minds. And now we're coming to the age where it's very possible that, you could say it's a false flag. It could be real. It could be both. It could be, to inspire others to do it. There's no telling. It's so convoluted that it's going to really just boil down to you seeing images, which we've seen in the last week, of things flying into high-rise buildings where people live, not businesses, not military targets, but apartment complexes, grocery stores, schools, things like that. So now they're telling you to your face, we're not going to even sound the alarm. We're just going to let you watch it on TV. We're going to show you the footage so that it terrifies you. And it's for exactly those reasons. And you were speaking of Dubai a minute ago. Here it is right there in Dubai,
The dream is over.
And it's funny to me that, the world's tallest building is
So you're just
there.
in jail for showing that footage if you're in Dubai.
Well, I ain't
2
never
more
gone.
years in prison for showing that footage right there. Nothing is going on in Dubai. It's the safest place. Come on back, invest.
Right. And that's those little triangular type craft that for years they told you was a UFO, is really, I guess it is kind of extraterrestrial if you keep in mind that they're being ran by AI, the sophisticated ones, not those gas powered remote controlled things that you're seeing in the Middle East. But they have some real killbots out there from the bigger nations that are not, some of them are even autonomous. And we're talking fighter jet level threats in the air of drones. And we've covered that before, but we're in a real time here. We're about to, break open these frozen people. Frozen brains reawaken in astonishing medical breakthrough. In other words, they brought back frozen brain tissue and reanimated it to be okay again. So you could take that for its worth. But this is really what we're going to be talking about here, is the complete intrusiveness of the AI, the same AI that's going to be running the drones, spying on every dollar you spend to find out where it goes during what will essentially be a financial lockdown. That's what I see coming this summer too.
Yeah, financial. And again, no, it's not predicated on that. It is, they are going to have to revalue the dollar. And it cannot be any way, shape, or form that we have seen in the past. The confiscation of gold, everybody's on to it. The 2008 financial crisis, everybody, it's too close in. People still remember that. Even if you were a teenager, you could have been, the thing that people forgot though was 9/11. That was almost 25 years ago, right? They need a new episode of that to keep multi-generations in fear of that same phenomenon happening. It's being forgotten, and all the new kids didn't see it, so they're always wondering, what's the big deal about 9/11? Okay, I saw this. It looks like a video game or whatever. But to bring it to life again with smaller craft, smash them into some stuff. Oh, now the newest generation feels it too. The 9/11 people that saw it would be like, oh, it's happening again. It's just, how willing are people, or how much will they be willing to comply with what's told to them? Because if everybody in America, when this new thing comes and just says stop, the only problem is our debt is so far out of control. We'll be 40 trillion here before long, by the end of the year. There's no way to pay that back. So, after World War II, we went into a very inflationary period here, from say 1945 to 1953. Even then, some of the times they were running 18% inflation. And then, it came back down, and then we got the oil spikes from the oil embargo in the 1970s. Inflation hit high again. But after World War II, we had to pay that debt down. And the way they did, they used the Federal Reserve along with the Treasury to do this infinite circle jerk on this, to continue to inflate away the debt. At that point, it was something like 120% of GDP, and they were able to bring it back down to about 30 by deflating the money. This time, there's no more deflation left to play. Like, you can't write down 40 trillion on something that's only worth 1 or 2 cents on the dollar. Because back then, it was worth a good 60, 70 cents on the dollar. Still, after the Federal Reserve and the confiscation of gold, that was still fresh. There was still value on the money. Not going to work this time. They're going to move us to stable coins. The stablecoin issuance, here's one of the problems. The banks currently, you have your money in there, and it's earning like 0.1% or 0.5%, and you're just used to your whole life putting money in a savings account or a checking account, and you're getting some minuscule amount of money while they use your money to give out other loans and take in 6-7% while giving you like 0.5%. Stable coins, if they are going to come out with this new thing, this is the battle. And if you start hearing about it, because around the rest of the world, if you save your money in stable coins, you get between 4 and 6%, like the banks used to do. But if the stablecoin system starts and everybody's like, wait a minute, I'm only getting 0.5% or even 0.1% or 0.25% per year. What if I take that same money and put it into the new government-backed system called stablecoins? There would be a bank run amongst all bank runs. So the banks are fighting this tooth and nail to stop this from going forward. But this stablecoin is needed to move the system into the new system. There's going to be some sort of hit on the money. Like when you transfer that over, it's not going to be a 1-to-1. It's going to be maybe 10-to-1, 100-to-1, something like that. Because of all this inflation and the things that are going to go, the war is going to start working through. Iran says they're going to start targeting all the banks and the financial institutions across the Middle East now. This is their next plan. Are they going to hit the pipeline first, that east-west pipeline, and then go for the banks? They're going for the jugular on this whole Western system. As it was explained to me, or I've read and I've just kind of put the pieces together over the last year. And it didn't really make sense until now. Asia's going to get hit really hard in the beginning because they were super reliant on Middle Eastern oil. We are not so much. But as this quagmire drags along, and once the straits reopen, that oil is going to go flush, gluttonous, and instantaneously back to Asia, and they will start, and they will be the beginning of the new economy coming up with whatever form it takes. It's going to be digital. It's going to involve stablecoins. It's going to involve assets. It's going to involve commodities. But here, the Western nations are going to die on the vine, and they were meant to die on the vine. We owe so much money, and we are owed so much money, especially to the retirees, like the Social Security that's owed as a liability to everybody living that's over 65. It's just far too much to be sustainable. There's not enough new money coming in. So they need to wipe out the old system. They need to wipe out the people that are in that old system, i.e. famine. When it rolls back in, the Western nations were meant to just literally die on the vine and dry out into a mummified husk, as all that was transferred over into the new BRICS nations areas and that whole part of the world. You got to think longer than like a 4-year presidential cycle. We're talking multi-generational cycles of wealth of movement. Like the 80-year fourth turning is a good one, but it's a little bit longer than that. It's in this multi-century cycle that we're in. So the entire reformation of a full global economy can occur in 100 years. So we're at the tail end of that, and the reformation and new start of the new global economy for the next 100 years based on, like I say, this digital assets that are backed by something, again, precious metals, the assets, art, the buildings, the whatever it is, the factories, the ports, everything's going to have a value to it. And then we're also going to have the commodities like that stuff that's in the ground, the aluminum, the steel, all the rare earth minerals. There's a value to those. The water, everything's going to have the forest, the timber. That's going to have a notional value to it to restart the new system, and it'll be backed by something in the beginning. That needs to reset itself. Now, gee, scratch my head. What is the event that could totally collapse the economy and set the Western nations back where they never come back again? If they do, they're just a skeleton of their former selves, and then allow that transfer of wealth to go over to these new nations. So Asia's going to get hit hard. They're already getting hit hard. They're going to weather through it. Their governments work together. They're pretty much homogeneous society. Taiwanese are mainly Taiwanese, and there's like 99.9% Taiwanese live there. Japanese, like 99% Japanese in Japan. So like homogeneously as a culture, they're working together way tighter. Like Koreans are, 98% Korean in Korea, South Korea. So they work together on just like a turn screw. It's been done through history. It'll be done again. They can take the hardship. We're doing it for the country. We're doing it for the people. We're doing it for our nation. We're doing it for our race of people here, and they'll take the hit, and they'll deal with it. They're not going to infight. They're not going to be screaming at each other. They're not going to this. They're just going to deal with it, move through it, and they know at the end they're going to get the energy first. So they're going to, after it comes, it's going to be like a spring rain. Whoosh, mushrooms growing everywhere. But back here, there's going to be so much infighting because of all these things that our culture is. There's no homogeneous anymore. Everything's the rule of law is broken down. Nobody can agree on anything. Like the conditions set for the actual fracturing and dissolution of the country have been put in over the last decade or so. So when it does break, you see how it's going to fracture already. And it's like not like just here. It's like that in Australia. And not like this. It's worse in Britain or England, UK, whatever you like to call the periphery nations up there, Scotland, Ireland, Wales. Like the Western and Europe, oh, geez, that's just a basket case of breakup. So all these Western nations are meant to dissolve into smaller region or more controllable bits of land under different rulers and different kind of farming techniques, I guess. But this is what we're faced with right now. And as this energy kind of is interrupted, fertilizer is going to get interrupted. Food prices are going to be on a never-ending grind higher. Fuel prices for us are going to be on a never-ending grind higher. We complain a lot. Other nations will just deal with it, and they'll, like I say, they will obey what it takes to get through the chaos. Here, we will argue and bicker and fight and scrap and scratch and whatever it takes to get my slice, instead of working together to try to get through the mess. You think I think in World War II, it was much easier to do some of these things than it would be here. That's how they were able to get the Victory Gardens cruising across. Everybody accepted, okay, we got to do good, grow food, we got to help the cause, whatever. It's not going to be like that this time. So, the plan is, if you ever seen the Club of Rome, they call it the 10 Kingdoms. And this is from the Club of Rome in 1972. There's a map called the 10 Kingdoms. And they're dividing the planet into 10 different overseen, like NAFTA or like the EU. They're going to restructure to the final, what it's going to be under this one global governance structure, under one global currency, united under, now I see it's a distributed ledger or some sort of, stable coin issued from on high, from something that creates its value on a universal basis. And I'm not talking about the one, or the one that they were trying to start as I think it was called the unit. Sorry, it was called the unit. That was it. They were already planning a one global currency stablecoin called the unit, and they tried to roll that out last year. Everything's been put in place so cleanly. Now the messaging is coming out for you to get ready for it in your brain. Like, you think they've been all this has been set up for the last decades, plural, to bring us to this point. We are absolutely at the reset point now. So just kind of get it, all these messages and articles Ransom's bringing up tonight, and myself. The messaging out, it's begun. So what would you do? So we're going to talk about that the second hour, but please come back for hour 2 while Ransom and I continue on trying to dissect and see where the road takes us when the fertilizer gets lean, our crop yields get lean, and how this world's going to bend and then reset. We'll see you in the second hour. Please support our sponsors because they support us to keep this broadcast on air for you. And we'll see you in 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Take it over, Ransom. Hey everyone, are you ready to grow your own fresh, delicious vegetables, herbs, and flowers this season? If you're looking for the highest quality heirloom and organic seeds, I've got the perfect company for you, True Leaf Market. They've been a trusted seed company since 1974, offering 3,000 types of non-GMO varieties, everything from classic heirloom tomatoes and peppers to rare herbs, microgreens, sprouting seeds, and beautiful flowers. All those seeds are open pollinated, pure, and perfect for home gardeners or anyone wanting healthy, flavorful produce without chemicals. What I love the most is their huge selection, fast shipping guarantees, plus options for bulk if you're going big. If you're excited to start your garden this year with real, authentic heirloom and organic seeds, click the link in the description box below to check out TrueLeafMarket.com. You won't regret it. Happy planting, and thank you for supporting the channel and this broadcast. Product you love, the 72-hour emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. Not only emergency food, but camping food, and you can prepare that through the week as well. 20 delicious just add water meals. Think about creamy mac and cheese, hearty chili, sweet oatmeal, 2,000 calories a day. You need the calories. You're going to need to think and move. And the mashed potatoes, easier to make than oats, and you can add your own flavors. Goes with anything. For less than a couple of takeout meals at a fast food restaurant, get real peace of mind. And a real question to ask, how long could your family eat without leaving home? My Patriot Supply, click on that link in the description box below. It helps the channel. Truth is hard to say and hard to hear. Most people choose silence. We choose to speak. Your support of our sponsor keeps the Civilization Cycle podcast on air and giving us the courage to keep digging. That link's in the description box below. This is not a toothpaste. It's a revolution for your teeth. Remineralize, strengthen teeth, all natural ingredients, essential oils, minerals, salts. Alpha Vedic Dental Solutions System. That's alphavedic.com/civilization. You know, we're always trying to bring you the best products here that we think will enhance your life, especially if supply chains break down further, or if there's some disruption in our lives here. It seems in the news more and more possible, but hey, who knows? Maybe it's a mind game. But what is not is keeping your dental health up. And not a lot of people are talking about this. We always see the storable foods. But what about dental care during these same emergency situations? Will your toothpaste eventually run out? Well, if it does, then what? So like I say, this whole micro gut biome is driven by your oral cavity first. So take a look at what they have, alphavedic.com/civilization. Every purchase you make helps keep our live radio show and podcast on air, bringing you more information just like this. alphavedic.com/civilization. That link is in the show notes below. And as always, I appreciate your valuable time and joining us in this ever and most important conversation as we move forward in our world.
Please remember to sign up for our show notes. With Civilization Cycle podcast, you can learn what to expect as society resets. Agriculture, economy, tech, and history all have mappable cycles, and these cycles affect every aspect of our lives. We can navigate the chaos and thrive together with up-to-date news and information. Also, if you like the content we have here on Civilization Cycle, think about fueling the discussions and the show by buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Civilization Cycle. And thank you for all the support.
And welcome back for the second hour right here, the Civilization Cycle podcast. I was trying to look up this article, bring it to you fresh here as we started. There's going to be an all-out campaign to allow the fear to go or to stop what you're allowed to see, depending on how the wind needs to be bent. Like, you know, you ever been sailing and you know exactly how much you need to trim something on the sail, or, you know, you need to tack this direction. Okay. And the jib goes that way. It's going to be the exact same thing with what we are allowed to see and what we're not allowed to see, how we're afraid we're supposed to be or how afraid we're not supposed to be based on these availability of you to share news. So I would make another prediction as we move forward here that social media is going to be incredibly tightly controlled, even way more than it is now. And it's already really controlled. If y'all think free speech, there's not, I mean, not really. There's certain topics you're allowed to talk about. Others are forbidden. They won't give you any reach whatsoever. I could sit here and talk to Ransom one-on-one, free speech. But as soon as they get a larger following, and Ransom does too, oh, channels are forbidden. Can't do that. Algorithmically suppressed. There's no reach whatsoever given to the topics. And, you know, it's just like that. They always said, even the tech companies are like, you have freedom of speech, but you don't have freedom of reach. Well, I guess even if you went on places just on, you know, local TV, or you write newspaper articles, even those would be censored by the editors that are in charge of these media. So the only freedom of speech you really have is like you and your neighbors talking together. But even if you say the wrong things, you might get reported for saying something, right? So this whole notion of freedom of speech is ridiculous anyway. We're guaranteed nothing, and you shall be happy and have nothing. So moving forward, that is another product. I'm just going to say a prediction that media is going to get really tightly controlled. Remember during the war, World War II, I mean, everything was tightly controlled as well. Like, you were not allowed to say anything negative about the United States during that time. You as an American inside criticizing what was going on in World War II, you would have been visited by, well, today's FBI for not supporting. You could be a Nazi sympathizer, a communist sympathizer. You didn't go with the war. You want that war to stop. Why would you want it to stop? Are you in favor of them winning? Even back in World War II, you might think it's more of a pure time, but again, the amount of tight control over the media and everything was scripted. Everything was this, it was the perfect picture. We're always winning. Now, the same thing is happening, and the reason I was trying to get on this is this Dubai article here. I'll bring it up here. Don't mention the war. Dubai Brit who filmed and immediately deleted the missile attack is being charged and sentenced for 2 years in prison of a cyber crime. So this is the whole thing in the UAE. I'll get up the article so we can read it together. But Ransom, take it over, man. I want to get the article up fresh so people can see it. Mute.
I was going to say, I already had one out basically talking about the same thing.
You always ready, man.
And, the title of that is Dubai is finished. Expats say they will leave and never come back as tax-free dream is shattered by war and officials prosecuting people for posting videos of missiles. Well, of course, you don't want to live someplace that you don't have free speech. That tax-free dream was very catchy, but you see there's hooks in any place that there's no tax. You're never going to go anywhere on this planet without being taxed in one way or another. And I would say going to jail for trying to tell people what's going on is a major tax to have to be quiet. So eliminating your free speech is a big tax on a person. And a lot of people have no idea really what Dubai is all about because they only see the glitter and the glamour and the high tech stuff and the money and the Lamborghinis and the gold and all of that stuff. But what you don't see is they have massive, I'm not going to call them slave quarters, but workers living areas. We'll say that worker living areas that are these massive complexes out in the middle of the desert that depend on, Dubai to supply it with power, water, and for food to be delivered there. Now, unfortunately, no AC. And they got 8 or 9 people living in a little box with bunk beds and stuff. I mean, it's a really horrible living.
Ridiculous.
Right. And then not to mention, people are always talking about countries that used to have slavery, not realizing that slavery today exists and is a big business in a lot of Middle Eastern countries, right out in the open. People are sold literally for money from different areas. People come from India, people come from Pakistan and from sub-Saharan Africa, and they get in some of these countries in Northern Africa and find themselves as property today in 2026. So it's not that I'm against the idea of freeing people in places. It's just that never seems to turn out to be what happens. And, you were talking a minute ago about really the strain that we're gonna have to be dealing with. But before we even get back to the food, you remember on this show, I told you many times that they were already out there in the war theater, the robots. It's not a joke. They're really out there. They really move. Not the goofy stuff you're seeing on TV, not the AI generated stuff even China is putting out. But truth be told, there are some fully functioning robots already with boots on the ground. I don't know if you call it, they don't wear boots with traction on the ground, whatever you want to call it. Rise of the AI soldiers. And this goes into this particular robot that's already been trained to, use weapons, M16 rifles, pistols, shotguns, revolvers, all kinds of stuff. And yes, it's deadly serious. And not only is it deadly serious, it now comes out that we've already had killbots on the ground in the Ukraine being tested, just like I said they were doing before they admitted it. So if you don't think you're going to be seeing more of this in the sky, on the ground, this is the new thing. And this will be the answer to when everybody gets upset that they want to implement a draft, they want to do this, that's okay. You know what? You guys are right. We'll just send thousands of killbots, which goes back into this idea of worrying about EMP warfare, which, if we did have that. So you could just see this kind of roll out in a step-by-step thing. Whatever country decides it doesn't want any more of its soldiers being killed, it's too big of a loss, or at least that's an excuse. Because we finally got to the point where robots can be built at the same price that a US soldier or a Chinese soldier or a Russian soldier is worth to that country. So many years ago, a guy came out with a bear-proof armor suit. I don't know if you remember this guy.
Yeah, I do.
He had several iterations of it. The first, they were big, clunky, goofy things. He was building them so that he could film grizzly bear. And, they have enormous force. They'd kill a guy even in armor of different kinds, no problem. So he built this thing. It ended up being fully functional, very easy to move around in, fireproof, impact-proof, bulletproof. Guess what? He was not allowed to sell that because the U.S. government decided that was a disruptive technology. He then tried to sell it to China, which then he was threatened with arrest. No, you can't do that. And the reason that they gave for not implementing his technology in our military was that it was about $1 million a suit at the time, and the average worth of a U.S. Marine was only $30,000. So now that we can build a robot for $30,000, you can see that we are going to be pumping those out into the world. It's going to be a hellacious nightmare, just like on the movies that they've predictive program for years. But the fact that I was telling you they are already on the ground, most likely they are, and now they're admitting it. They've been testing it, and it's going to become increasingly used. But then comes the EMP shutdown of the economy. Right? It's not really about the little battlefield. So like you said earlier, you can watch TV and you can watch the missile intercepts and the impacts blow up, and then you realize that maybe a building blew up, and as soon as the war stops, they'll have that fixed in 6 months and life will go on despite losing those people. But it really, makes a fear factor into everybody around the world having to see those images. And then they're going to see robots doing it. And they're going to be seeing things blow up in places they didn't expect to blow up, like in Europe, the United States. And it's going to be very convoluted who it was, where it came from. And that's why they want to, track every single thing that you do, every dollar, every transaction, every bank that you went to, every, concert you went to, every convention you went to. They're going to track all of that so they could know exactly what you're doing down to the dollar. And we've been talking about this a long time too, but they're going to be using the same robotic system. So ironically, it's like the movie Skynet taking over everything. It's in the military, it's in the banking industry, it's in for food production. Money Spy, ChatGPT is building a tool that will spy on your bank accounts and credit card activity so that you can be debanked if you say the wrong thing or show the wrong thing, depending on what country you're in. And then meanwhile, right here, millions of Americans are already skipping meals or cutting back on utilities to afford their health care, which is going to become an increasingly big problem. And they weren't willing to deal with this problem. And, right when the health epidemic is going to happen, we're going to be in world conflict. We're going to be in financial crisis. We're going to be in energy crisis. But I hate to tell you that they've already figured this out. They've already started implementing it in places like Europe and Canada. There's at least 12 states in the United States that are trying to push for this kind of thing. And if you don't think places like China, Russia, or, anywhere, just think Pol Pot. Just think Pol Pot for just a second. This is not even technological. What happens when you need to get rid of a bunch of people because of certain scenarios? Well, it happens. So, you can talk about communism, you can talk about the Bolshevik Revolution, whatever you want to talk about. Every transition through to another state of civilization has to have its sacrifice first. So if we're going to move over into this digital controlled, top-down, AI-run system, there has to be some sacrifices along the way.
Only the intelligent, because that's one thing unanimous across all of those. What do? They always take out the people who can read. They always take out the professors. They always take out the engineers. That's always the first that get whacked, are the ones who are at the universities, the ones who are at the labs, the ones who are at the, the top echelon of religion and this sort. That's the ones they always take out. They need to remove that segment of society because those are the ones who understand what's going on. Those are the ones who can rebuild the society. Because if you can get an entire society of not the smartest, brightest people, but just the followers to rebuild the society, everything should be just a bunch of followers to rebuild it. Should it not?
Yeah, definitely.
Because let me
And
share this one thing here, Ransom, with you. I just to put case in point here on what we're talking about. So we have been told in the U.S. that we are winning this thing. It's going to be over in a couple of days. Don't we control everything? We blew up all their stuff. They don't have a navy. We just got everything. But this comes off CNBC and says the U.S. Navy will escort oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz when it's militarily possible. Wait a minute. I thought we were controlling that. I thought we were the ones that were telling them top dog, yo, you can't stop us. We're going to do anything. We're going to escort all these ships through. Not a thing you can do about it, man. We got the strongest Navy on the planet and we are winning this war anyway. Wait, a screech, record scratch. Wait a minute. When militarily possible, I thought it was militarily possible 100% of the time, all the time, because that's what you're telling us is we are 100% winning at this thing and we're 100% strength of all time. And here they're saying, well, it's not militarily possible to take the ships through. Like, yo, bro, something doesn't match up. The sniff test on this smells like bullshit to me. It actually does. And then if we go over here,
this whole
to the
thing feels
Sun
like
article.
a game of Risk, doesn't it? Like, have you ever saw that game, Risk? I think it's Risk, right? Where you play
Risk. Yeah, RISK. That's right.
That's what this is. Like, you could just look at it like a game, and like we were talking about years ago, they set the stage to redo the borders, then they implement these different things to get you used to behaving, and then they start setting up the military in the right places, from the Caribbean to the South China Sea. We're all seeing that moving around.
Yeah, and I want to just case in point of coming back. So we're being told, in Dubai they're able to intercept all the missiles. Abu Dhabi, they were able to. So just like a quick 101 in geography. So the Emirates, United Arab Emirates, there's 7 of those Emirates together, but they just quantify it as one. It's like our country, United States. There's 50 of those, but we got Puerto Rico and this sort of thing, and Micronesia, this sort of thing, adds in an extra 2. But there they have 7. So when you hear of the Emirates, Dubai, that's its own emirate. And then Abu Dhabi, it's the largest one. It is also another emirate. So you could call them states or not. But, for me, it's really weird that they would have this totally blacked out inside the video here. Why would you black that out? Unless it says going to Dubai. So anyway, these are the pictures they don't want you to see. Like they're telling you, unbelievably, they're intercepting everything. There's not a single thing coming down. We got it under control. And then people are off their balconies going, yo, bro, this thing is this is hitting the Burj Al Arab Hotel or Arab Hotel. 5-star, 7-star hotels getting blasted. And we're supposed to, just, wait, what do you mean there's black smokes at Jebel Airport? What? Wait, what? You're not allowed to show that. Oh, wait, there's one hit just outside the gate. See, I think this was a warning shot because they're pretty precise with their ordnance. So I think this was just outside to send a signal. Man, we could waste your thing if we really wanted to, but they didn't. So these are the photos that you're not allowed to show. And I don't know why you're not allowed to show them. And now you're being threatened with 2 years in prison for showing them, even off of your balcony, which is, a little bit. So the point I'm getting at here is we are being told one thing, and we're actually seeing and witnessing something completely different. It's not just here in America where we're told we're winning the war, but we don't have enough strength to escort military through. But that was the whole thing. We're going to get the Navy and we're going to come through whether you want to or not. But now we can't. And now, Abu Dhabi and Dubai, they're intercepting everything. Only one's dropped in over out in the desert. It didn't hurt a single thing. Oh, wait. This is just from like yesterday's shots of new damage that came up. These 4 or 5 destinations got smoked yesterday. You're not allowed to show that. And the whole perception is the Emirates are super safe. Come and invest. All foreigners come stay. And they're clearly trying to hide the information from you. So something is very off. The sniff test, like I said, it's pure bullshit with the sniff test on this because nothing sits right. It is all propaganda. And I'm sitting here going, what is going on? Back to you, Ransom.
Well, it's kind of like when Canada told its citizens that they shouldn't, do vacation in the United States because we went fascist to instead go down to Mexico. And then they all got trapped in the airport with gunfire and cars burning and, things exploding and all of that. So it's real similar to the same thing. Now, I understand why Israel doesn't want live shots of where their anti-aircraft missiles are actually coming from or their anti-missile missiles. I
Yeah,
get
that makes
that.
sense. You don't want to show where that's at.
It's such a small place that they don't want to, give people targets where they can go, oh, well, that one blew up right there. Just, change it a little bit and you'll hit the right spot. So I get that. But after it's already happened and, the missile has come through, that really has no strategic advantage to hide where you were hit. So they're doing that for the simple reason they don't want people to know. It's the same reason they're doing it in the Emirates. It's the same reason Iran or the United States cut off the internet to Iran when we first started doing this. So whoever cut it off, it was all for the same reason, so you wouldn't look. But don't worry, we're just in time to tell everybody that, you might be only eating one meal a day and you might have to, not purchase the things that you're used to purchasing so that you could cover your health care or your utilities. Matter of fact, utilities was one of the things that said people are cutting back on. So I don't know what that means. If people think that streaming devices are utilities, they're not. But I think that's kind of what they were saying. But
No,
either
it's
way,
electrical usage, ransom. So if you're going to turn on your aircon, maybe you won't. Maybe you turn on your heater, maybe you won't. Maybe we'll use a space heater in the room instead of turning on the heater for the house. Something like this.
that is one good way to make people mad in the Southwest of the United States if they're roasting in their homes with no electricity while the data center down the street is nice and cool.
And
There's nobody in it.
all the factories are up and running to produce our arms to get us over there. Hey,
Right.
let me share another one here with you. This is again, we're told that everything is hunky dory and we're winning it all. And then this morning, here's another one that got smoked. These are the Houthis banging on some ships too. So
Oh, they got involved now, finally.
no, they certainly did. So here, can I turn this smaller here? You got to watch the video on this one here. Let me find where she's at. All right, so this is the latest in the tankers that are being struck everywhere now. So they're burning everywhere. So now we got all that. Where's the environmentalists talking about all this stuff happening here? Boom, you see, this looks like, I don't know why they because they don't want you to see what kind of like autonomous naval drone that is. They're using these little speedboat drones to hit these things now. And what was that movie with Ben Affleck in it? And yeah, and they keep hitting all these things.
You might want to mute it though.
Yeah, time. I did.
We heard it all.
We heard it all. Shh, don't say anything. That was those bad guys yelling in this film screen there. We should. But anyway, this is just another one of today. There were 6 or 7 yesterday that were also just. I mean, there's no description for it. I mean, they were just in fireballs yesterday. Where are the environmentalists talking? How much oil is this spilling all over the place? How much CO2 is this releasing? Nobody ever points to the military. We're in a full op here. We got multiple militaries across the planet running at full speed, and not a single tweet from anybody telling them to rein their CO2 emissions in.
Nah, they're not going to do that.
Hypocritical rat bastards is what.
And you ever wonder, generally, whenever they say that a country is having problems, that they're going to double their effort. But that's not what this says, does it? It says U.S. military industrial complex agrees to quadruple bomb production as epic fury rages on. Did you ever think that you would live to a time where there was a war that sounded like a Mountain Dew flavor? I mean, think about it. It's epic fury. We're mad. We're going to do something about it. Why are we so mad? Why do we have the fury? It was supposed to be because things might happen, maybes. But the truth is this is our play. This is the other end of the Ukraine thing. So Russia did their Ukraine thing, and this is what we're doing. We're doing Venezuela. We're doing the Middle East. We're trying to reshuffle the deck, and it is getting kind of weird. I mean, think about this. Iran threatens to nuke Israel. I thought they didn't have nothing. How are they going to do that? We supposedly smashed it all, but now we're worried about it. And then let's see here. This one says Iran hitting radars that uh, underpin U.S. missile defenses. Iran MP says Russia may be willing to let Tehran borrow a nuclear weapon. Do you think they'll give it back afterwards? I don't think so. They're going to let them maybe have one. But keep in mind that this is according to the Iranians and not the Russians. So the Russians didn't say that they were willing to give them one. Iran says that the Russians are willing to give them one. But you never know. And then we see, this is an older article already talking about 35% gain in the future trading dating back to 83. And then I showed you a new one that already says is they're comparing it more with the 70s, not in the 80s. But don't forget about this. Mark my words. This is going to come out of nowhere. When you think you're all busy paying attention to the Middle East, we're going to launch an operation into Cuba. Hopefully it's a peaceful operation, because from what I understand, they're trying to do more of a hostile takeover, like a company, instead of actually having any warfare, because, well, they've been having a lot of problems in Cuba. It's just really weird that they don't have massive food productions out of that island, because it's some of the most fertile, countryside and soil that you could imagine. But when you got top-down government, sometimes those victory gardens might get you in trouble. So at least we still have that going for us here, is that we can kind of not put the blinders on, so to speak, but just put our interest and our attention elsewhere in, our own little community, our own little group, our own little sphere of influence. And it's really hard for them to, make you suffer if you don't let them.
Yeah, let me share a couple more coffees here. Thank you so much for supporting us. Buymeacoffee.com/civilization cycle. Can you let me see if we can? I'm going to pull us off to the side so we can widen this out a little bit. And also at the same time, I'm going to try to make the screen larger. There we go. Someone bought us a double espresso. Thank you so much. Joe Burbine, I want to read the comment here. Speaking with family in the Philippines today, they said they were unable to sell their tomato crop, and other farmers also, as they are only getting 5 pesos per kilo, or about 12 cents Canadian per kilo. So growers in the region are just dumping them. The contrast is wild. Yeah, I'm wondering why it's such a low sale price for that crop that's normally comes in at this time of the year. Obviously, it's going to be a rotation that's going to come in this time of the year every year. I'm wondering also why there's not another like homegrown industry that wouldn't take all those tomatoes, make them into paste or puree, and then put them into canning jars or some other kind of, containers to be able to use that tomato in a different fashion instead of just dumping them. Just asking the question though, because I don't have the answer. I'm really just asking. But thank you, Joe, and thank you, someone, and newbie flip flop, and away we go with the show. So yeah, thanks so much for those comments. That's buymeacoffee.com/civilization cycle.
Wow. This I can feel the fear propaganda. Unlike it's exactly like 2001. The style in which the news is covering it's literally the theater of war here that we're seeing, and people don't understand. You know what? This the whole thing reminds me a lot of Clovis Man running a bunch of bison to the edge of the cliff so that they could fall down and do the work for the people, instead of them actually having to do anything except for make a lot of noise. And, kind of think about it. It was propaganda to the bison that caused them to go and hurt themselves. And then they got to reap the benefits for it. And it seems like a really similar thing going on in our time right now. They're just kettling everyone to a certain behavior.
Yeah, and what's the reason for that? Okay, so somebody, when you just heard those two bings on me, those are personal messages coming in from I'm not even going to say, it's just a strategic think tank that kind of includes me in, because I had some unusual thoughts about food and the way it might evolve. Although I've been doing this for years and years and years, they're always interested in food when things are going down. So I always have unique thoughts on that. So this one comes off. You're invited to establish your presence at Shama Shama. Quote, Barbera Airport, longest runway in Africa. Barbera Port, one of the world's largest strategic deep water ports. This is where Yemen is. Strategic corridor carrying 15% of global trade, 30% of global container traffic, and 10% of global seaborne petroleum. And yeah, this is Somaliland in the north there. And they are trying to create peace before they go to some sort of destructive behavior. So let's forge security ties. This is for public release, so I'm not really saying anything that's not for public release. So beyond what the Yemen port of Yemen and what's going on in Oman, there's another flashpoint that they're pointing to here that depending on who controls this area, like Republic of Somaliland, remember when Israel's saying, yeah, we love this place. We give it, legitimacy for being it. You know why? Because it's just south of the port of Yemen, just a little bit to the east of Djibouti. And whoever controls that port in that area, again, can control 15% of global trade. Now, I am looking at this saying, all right, well, what's happening in the Red Sea is about to flare off because the regional players there are not going to let this blockade go. This is their only one. See, we cornered a wounded animal in a corner here. Like what we've done and what we've said from the West collectively to Iran and all those other countries over there, that you're disposable and we're going to steal your oil. Now, that in itself is no different than saying we're going to completely destroy America and we are going to take out every politician. There'll be no leadership left. There'll be no form of government left. We're going to turn you into an anarchy and bomb you back to the Stone Age, and then we're going to steal all your resources. Well, at that point, we would fight. The grandmas would be in the kitchen with a kitchen knife going, you're not coming in here. That's kind of the messaging we're giving to them. So they are backed into a corner, and they're going to give it their all. And most people, if you ever read Sun Tzu Art of War, they always say make your troops camp next to the river with their backs to it, so there's nowhere there for a run, because they're going to have to fight forward because they can't go anywhere else. Like make them the back of a cliff next to a river. That's the best point, where they're boxed in on two sides, because they're going to fight double, triple, quadruple with the ferocity of it, because they're stuck. There's nowhere for them to get out of. And this is the same thing. I just can't see. This is the last. The reason they're sending this is the last flashpoint for global food availability is if the fertilizer gets cut off and the reds and the flashpoints in the Suez Canal and that sort of thing. And where's that Michael? That
I said it years ago. That's
earlier
what's funny.
today. They were talking also about this is only one choke point, Moloch Straits and down in South America there with the Panama Canal, and then the Red Sea up there in Suez. These are three other choke points that could be conditions cut off. Now this looks like a very let me see if I can widen the map out here for you. Know what? Let me see if I can even find this one up. No, I can't really get the map for you here. You have to find it. It's called the Republic of Somaliland and Bab el Mandeb, and this is the next flashpoint. So the word is out now. Keep your eyes on this one here.
Think about this too. If we're rolling with that doctrine that those people are disposable and we're going to take their stuff, and it's really completely about that. Isn't it a good thing that we moved out most of their fighters before we started doing that? I mean, because most of their fighters are over in Europe. Yeah. There would be fighters. And we talked about this over and over again about how, isn't it strange that they moved out millions? Look, think about the amount of manpower that moved out of military age men into Europe. Now, one could say that maybe, that's to collapse Europe, and maybe it is, because we were talking about that earlier. We're meant to dry out kind of like a grape on there and get cut off the Western world. But at the same time, all of those people are gone out of the Middle East, which reduces the amount of fighting power from each one of those countries that they would have if they, not only from religion, or even if they instituted some form of a draft or a conscript in those countries. They got millions less men to do anything with there in Europe, which is going to cause a shatter belt situation in Europe, obviously. And, we're already seeing the Europeans brought into it. I don't know if you saw that the other day about the drone strike on the British people. A bunch of supposedly got hurt. I don't know how true that is.
I got your
But
map right here.
now you're going to have to start worrying about this too.
Yeah, there's our map. So this is going to be another flashpoint. Get ready. I was just a distant early warning coming in right now.
Right. Well, it won't be that bad. We move most of the Somalis here.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point of it. No, the disruption that's coming from this is, think about okay, remove the fighting edge men out of there. Okay. But think about the destruction and disruption they could create where they are across all these Western nations. Because you look at Sunnis, they're going to just send the word out one day, wherever you are, destroy everything that's not of ours.
Right.
It took them 800 years to get the Arabs out of the Spanish areas and the Portuguese areas, the Barbary Coast. It took them 800 years to get them out of continuous fighting. And then everybody was let back in, like exponentially more than was ever just that pillaged that coastline forever.
Well, we have Operation Garden Plot and, Night Train and Rex 84 and all those programs supposedly to protect us from exactly those kind of things. But might be used for us too, because it did mention a certain number of Americans that they would have to deal with as well, which is oddly strange because the same plan came out of the Weather Underground, where that they would ship a bunch of people to the Southwest, put them in camps, especially those pesky capitalists that need to be re-educated. Now, either way you go, those plans are already put in place, so no telling how they'll be used. But since COVID, really, they've been hammering us with the hackers, right?
They're disrupting fertilizer production. They're disrupting the supply chains to get your food to you. It's them bad people over there.
Yeah.
That's what they're pointing at. They're going to disrupt your food. Everything's pointing to food disruption on purpose here.
That is exactly it. Yeah, here it is. Drones blitz Brits. God, well, that's a tongue twister, ain't it? In Special Forces base attacked by Iranian drone swarm with troops hurt. Now, it's kind of, and I'm not going to say it's not happening, but it's kind of hard for me to believe that a country in disarray, it's got all these organized programs going all over the place with drone programs that aren't even in their country, and then cyber attacks it's unbelievable. I'll put it that way. Just like I'm not really believing that skinny white kid with the glasses there that was doing target practicing at the rally was being directed or paid by Iran. But that is the story that that they told us in preemptive prediction of these events that we're living through.
Yeah, again, what are they getting us ready for in these events here? So I want to actually pull that Club of Rome map up that I talked to you about prior.
Right. I had it up for you.
Yeah, so here it is. I'll make it a little bit larger for everybody there. If I can get this, come on now, move over. Yeah, so this is the future for mankind as we sit here on the precipice of the reset. Now, this had been planned anyway from 1972. So if you're looking at planners coming through a full revolutionary turn of the fourth turning on the 80-year cycle, plus a little bit, because just think about when the Jekyll Island was formed, like they knew that would run for 100 years on their plan. So they've gone over that time, somehow magically been able to spin that over 100 years. So we're in 2020, they're like 113, 114 years, but their plan was 100 years for that. But somehow it has continued on. But we are in the manifestation and the change of a new system manifesting as we speak. So the 2008 crisis, that was the beginning of what we're seeing now into this full transition into another one. But at the same time, these are marching parallel with each other. So the change of the monetary system, which was again changed, and I come back to it. I talked about this a few programs ago. Prior to the Civil War, they'd taken us off the bimetallic system, where gold and silver were both used. Subsequently, after the Civil War, we were only on a gold standard at that point. Very difficult for a central bank to control both gold and silver, but just gold suppression is easier than gold and silver suppression. So they took the usage of just money itself of silver out of, and they pushed it off to the side and declared that we are in a gold standard in America. Even at that point, there was a lot of power from the banks. And then from that, there's like, no, we're not having any more banks. A couple presidents, no more banks. Lincoln being one of them, like no more central banks. They tried it a few times before, and it was like the third, fourth try, and then they finally got it because they allowed the bailout of a it was a coordinated collapse of the magnates of the time. And then they forced the collapse on the stock market, which then gave them the conditions to come in and offer the US government, we're going to bail you out completely, but you need to let us form this new bank so it'll never happen again. Yeah, and there's our map. So coming forward from that, this map was planned in and on the same.
This one's kind of blurry
I
a
know
little
they're
bit.
blurry. I can't find any clean ones from there. You think if
But
it was really that, you know?
I wanted to point out something on here, and it's
Yeah,
easier
please
to
do.
see on the colorized one right here.
Mhm.
Number 7, and we'll go back if you just keep in
That's
mind number
MENA, that's
7
Middle
there.
East, North Africa.
Right, that controls all of those ports, the Gates of Gibraltar, Suez
Yep.
Canal, and there you got the Strait of Hormuz there.
Yeah, all of it's together in
All of
one
it's number
contiguous.
7. Number 7 is the classic Greek Roman Empire. So North Africa, the Middle East, and then you have, if you look right down there at the bottom of South Africa, the country of South Africa is number 4. That's matched up with Australia. So that would be partly part of the Western world. And then you have number 2 and number 1. That's classically the Western world. But if you look, those are all the old empire maps right here. The really cool thing that's on here and kind of unexplainable is you notice Japan is segregated off as its own little kingdom. Number 3 there. Number 3 is the smallest, tiniest one there. Yet they marked it as its own kingdom there. And I would think that number 10 and number 9 are actually going to merge kind of into one. So you could see that eventually you will have issues with number 4 and number 10 over resources right there, and that those chain of islands all the way over to New Zealand. And then over here you see 1 and 6. We're going to unify that. We have been doing that. So that we can control that Panama Canal there. So if we did go to war with number 10 and number 5, the only possible direction for that really to go is over to 2 and to 7, or into the Pacific Ocean in a direct conflict with East and West. And then you would have Hawaii and all that stuff out in the middle.
What's your colored map look like matched on that? Can you flip to your color and then, because number 9, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so number 9 is just India, Southeast
Thanks and stuff. But it's interesting,
Asia.
Taiwan's not inside the China sphere. It's in the number 9 sphere of its own independence.
Right. I noticed that. I figured it would be with 3. But
Yeah, right.
Here's a prediction
Island chain.
that I have is that you're going to see South Korea switch sides. And I've been saying that for a while, but now it's looking more and more like the case. They have kind of a different government going on now. And there's some real talk about reunification because the South wants to exploit the North's resources. And, the North wants to extrude more of the Chinese power on the southern peninsula there. So I wouldn't count South Korea as being part of number 3 there. It's going to be part of number 10, which is China.
Add the wild card in all this. We have this extreme weather coming, and the hail size is just tremendous, and the winds are getting really out of control. It's almost like somebody knew the ramp up in terms of how our modern infrastructure couldn't cope with the intensity and amplification of our natural weather systems based on magnetic field declines and jet streams going into their different flows. So game this out with me. They've been waiting, extending the financial system, saber rattling all the way along, all in one gigantic stage play until the final curtain call was nature itself, where that could no longer be hidden to the point of the destruction was going to come in from nature. For right now, they can blame it on human causes. And I'm not talking about global warming. I'm talking about the fertilizer disruptions, the crop yield declines. That can be blamed on the war currently. But if it was a natural cause where we were going to get wiped out in some of our crop yields anyway, There's nobody to point to except you guys didn't warn us up there. You all with your bought and paid for scientists had 100-year, forecast into the future. You gave us the complete opposite of what was supposed to happen, and you didn't warn us that it was going to flip so tremendously that it was going to damage agriculture, and you didn't give us a chance to prepare for that. We could have gotten gardens up. We could have hardened things. We could have put things in dome. We could have indoor agriculture. We could have underground agriculture. We could have done a huge amount of thing, but you didn't give us a warning. So now, you look at it, and I'm wondering if this was the final thing that all these, top players in governments and countries and militaries were looking for, was this actual changeover magnetic field disruption that they know they can't control it any longer in terms of the actual weather that is going to disharmonize our world, and that can't be natural. It has to be human caused, because then they can still deflect and give excuses, even though what you're seeing with your own eyes something different, because it's happening globally. It's happening everywhere. It's not just exclusively here. These winds are just something's very wrong with the wind patterns around the world currently.
Well, the guy,
at least the last 200 years of what we know is wind flows.
the guy or the commenter, I don't know if it was guy, I didn't see, but was mentioning about the 50-mile-an-hour winds right there next to Denver. And if you look at this, map, there's this weird vortex kind of out here that's pulling all this warm air in, but it's not really that weird for there to be really high winds here, because let me put it back on Thursday.
Yeah, there's a couple different layers you can add in on there.
Let me go back.
You're on Thursday. I use windy a lot in like null school.
But this is that track I always tell you about. You see the wind converging right here in New Mexico, and it goes in the straight line up through Wichita and goes up there. That's the weather pattern that always messes everybody up, with tornadoes, with anything. And you're going to see a lot of that this summer if we have any kind of monsoonal activity. But right here at Denver, you got to remember, this is the plains and this is the Rocky Mountains. So you have a merging of cold and hot right there in Denver. And it's not really odd to have 50-mile-an-hour winds anywhere on the I-25 corridor from New Mexico all the way up there. Matter of fact, that's a very constant thing, especially around where I-40 and I-25 merge there in Albuquerque. You always see blizzards, snow outs, trucks falling over, and you'd think that they would have done something, to kind of counteract that, but I don't think they can. So if things increase weather-wise worse like that, then you're going to start seeing a lot of problems with transportation and delivering goods. And if we're already having any kind of supply chain issue, that just kind of multiplies that thing, because that's a yearly thing we see on I-40 and I-25 in this part of the country. High winds, bad conditions, and a lot of semis attacking. I mean, crashing, not attacking. I'm sorry, that was Freudian, because I was going to say Tesla and all of the other people are outputting a big push into the shipping of the United States right now. It's not really hitting the headlines, but you're going to see it.
Hold on 1 second. We got a solar flare warning here, and Enlil just popped off on their forecast. So let me show you the, here we go. So it's definitely into the higher ranges here, especially with the density of those reds in there. Looking at the cubic centimeter density on the plasma here. So once you're getting into the 30s, it's noticeable. You don't want to be outside if you don't have to be. People are going to get agitation, maybe some, problems with people on the planet here. Boom. And then right there's your high point coming in on the 14th. Tomorrow, 13th, it'll be beginning tomorrow to ramp up. And then it'll be at a high point somewhere. Let's see if I can zoom that and get that back onto the Zulu time here. Remember, we're at 4 hours now with the time change on Zulu. Yeah, so 6 p.m. on the 14th, because we're back 4 hours from that.
You know what I would like to see is if a study of this, whenever they have all these weather predictions and then the sun does this, do all those predictions still turn out the way they were predicted before the flare, or do they update them and change them because the flare is going to change the weather pattern?
Oh, no, you can't let the sun do anything, man. Come on. You're going to give some credence to the sun. And then notice the density change after it passes Earth, how, it really starts to move up above, 30 into the 40s there, the widening. So I don't see exactly what the solar flare was. Let's check out let's see if it gives us a no, that 1.8 sure wouldn't have been enough to do that. The C classes, yeah, I mean Earth directed, but I mean maybe it didn't update because it's such a fresh one. But they already have the forecast out for 2 days from now. So
Wow.
anyway, it was just a thing came in here from one of the comments on that. So KP index is meant to go to 5 or 6 tomorrow. So again, those of you that are sensitive to that sort of thing, you are definitely going to maybe start to feel something. There's quite a few flares on the front of the disc here. So uh,
Hey, what do you think if you see robots fighting in foreign wars, like they're talking about there, the humanoid soldiers? Do you think that might make you want to buy an updated Tesla bot for your home protection?
I don't know.
To send the robot out to deal with the intruder.
Yeah, I've lost our stream here, but I'll try to find it again. Uh, yeah, would you want to deal with somebody, or would you be like, "Hey, robot, go check out and see who's"?
Well, me myself, once I saw the killer robots in action, I don't want any robots anywhere on my property, right? Because they're hackable and whatever. But think about the sales pitch. If they really get people worried around the world about robot soldiers coming in or being dropped off in their country, we got this new security package with the Tesla bot, and they've been telling us for a long time that they want one of those in everybody's home, just like they wanted a phone in everyone's home
Well, yeah,
and a flat
are
screen,
you
so it can
creating
all
the
work
problem
together.
to then create the solution? I mean, if you only had one bot and then 10 bots came in, got dropped in on a parachute into your property, and well, one's not going to do much.
No,
Might
it's
give you
just
a little more.
bait,
Oh, well, then you
target
need 10. You
practice.
need 10 around the house ransom. You got to have 10. I mean, one's better than none. Hey, don't worry about the CO2 in the production, manufacturing, shipping, transportation, and everything. But hey, you got to pay a global tax because you bought 10 robots. Hey, wait, you know.
Yeah, it's a really weird idea, but you could think about it. Either they were programmed right, and you'll see, two different companies or nation robots fighting, or they just get hacked, and the one inside your house starts helping the ones outside.
No, that doesn't sound good. That sounds like a bad idea.
It's all science fact. I mean, science fiction. And
Yeah,
then
I think.
what are they going to do with these frozen people that they're about to wake up? Do they regain all their stocks and all of that stuff that was theirs before they died that already got willed out and transferred? I mean, like we're going into some science fiction times. There's going to be these new arguments, new scenarios, and all of that, all to keep you all distracted so that you continually lose your birth rate, your fertility, and the amount of people that are on the planet.
Yeah, I had an answer for you from the very beginning of the program as I was closing down some windows here. So here's your ultimate. Here you go. So I was saying in the beginning of the program, there's approximately 6 million tons of fertilizer stranded that can't get out of the Straits of Hormuz, and the fertilizer production facilities have shuttered. They're not, it takes them, and it's going to take some places 6 months to come back online. I was like, 6 months? Damn, it takes that long to turn a factory back on. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you look at the roughly amount of total U.S. fertilizer, 10 to 15 million metric tons, that's in the U.S. So 6 million tons is stranded. So think about that for a second. We are definitely in the top producers of grain on the planet. And we're only using 10 to 15 million tons per year. So if it's bottlenecked at 6 and then the production for that was cut back, it's going to be 20 million tons of fertilizer not on the market. So that's about even more than the entire US would use in a full season. So walk it back with me. So if that is not there, then what are our crop yields going to look like across most of the other nations? Do you think we're going to hold hands and play kumbaya and everybody's going to share equally the fertilizer?
No.
Because we all need to grow food. No, it's whoever has the most food, their society, their civil, their country is going to continue going because they will have enough extra calories to solve problems, to have the soldiers, to feed them, to get them on, to have the factories running because their people are robust. They have food. Not somebody's barely able to walk on the ground because they're malnourished and everything. The money comes second. The food is first and foremost, always has been. If you don't have food, you just literally don't have people alive. Those alive people are the things that are the empty containers for our countries that are supposed to be worker taxpayers.
I just had a weird
You defeat them.
idea. A weird idea, going back to that box of goods you opened up at the beginning of the show there. It wouldn't be that hard for these corporations that have deep limestone caverns built with millions of tons of products already made, canned, boxed, and stuff to just reprint a new expiration date on there and then fill the shelves with those things when there's bad times. I mean, really, it would be only the cost of restamping a box or a can. And believe me, they have millions and millions of tons of food stored. There was even that, you remember the case of the cheese they had to sell out because they had stockpiled so much cheese and then they gave it out, the government.
That's a running joke. The stockpiled government. We're only going to be able to eat government cheese. I can remember the old joke.
Well, I'm just saying, say you're General Mills and you have giant warehouses built in the limestone man-made caverns there in the middle of the United States, and you're running low on grains to make new products. Well, all you got to do is pull out some of those already prepackaged products that you already have, restamp an expiration date on it, and you're good to go. Your company's good. It'll make it right through it. Meanwhile, people are eating old, expired, GMO, glyphosate rich foods that'll, help them with their health care.
So you can hire ransom for marketing at your restaurant to draw more people in for the goodness.
Your hamburger that was established in 1990, like literally. No, I'm just joking. Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
No, I was just gonna say those canned goods looking a lot better with bad scenarios. You know what I'm saying? Steak in a can.
So just get prepared for this. Like, you can already see the slow walk of everything's just going to be continuously slowly grinding because they're talking about this thing going out 4 or 5 more months at the minimum. Yeah. So just every week prices are going to continue to grind up higher. And I think that's the plan, is to continually grind it higher and just milk everybody. This transfer of wealth is already pre-planned that you shall have nothing anyway. So imagine a slow milk of 20-30% rise in petrol prices over the next month or two. And then we're at $6-7 gasoline. Like, it can't, America is just going to struggle with $7 gas. Like I say, it's about the food. And I see somebody said, hey, woohoo, we got 200 XRP tonight. Where's our donation address for that, Ransom? We take XRP as a donation. Thank you very much. But I do thank you for watching tonight. Hope you got something out. It's all about the food. It's just about knowing this is crazy going on, but it's the main number one thing is the food's going to be affected. So if you already know that in advance, you can already take a couple, steps to stay ahead of that. Maybe getting a little now, storing some. My Patriot Supply, who we work with as well. If you want the storable foods for that, 25-year shelf life, get something from the store. Proteins are always awesome. And just how do you navigate through this, knowing food prices are going to continually grind higher and gasoline prices? Would it behoove you this weekend to get a gas can and go fill it with 5 gallons of gasoline, or maybe get 2 or 3 or 4 of those, spend a couple $100 getting the gas cans, getting the fuel, because now buying is going to be cheaper than it will be next week or the next week. But a lot of times there's things going up and then they pop on down again. But this one seems like it's planned to grind higher to get us to a completely new monetary system. I really firmly believe, I thought it was COVID, but I really believe that this is it, that this is the final leg that takes us to the resetting economy and this world everybody keeps forecasting for us to move into. But between here and there, that's going to be a damn bumpy road with a lot of potholes. So protect yourself the best you can with your families. We'll see you next week. Appreciate you joining us, and bye.